look at that guy. Yeah, he's ready for some action. And look at that ginormous gun. It's huge. I recently said that this seemed like a great time to look at the Fall of Cybertron figures that were released a few years ago. Why? Because, well, the game is kind of getting a re-release. And it was a great game. And you know what? The figures, for the most part, were fun. I've already looked at the Wave 1 Deluxes, the whole kit and caboodle. I'm going to skip over Wave 2 because I done them when I compared them with the Combiner Wars Combaticons, because Wave 2 were the Combaticons. So, by all means, go see those comparison videos if you want to see Wave 2 of the Fall of Cybertron figures. So we're going to jump right into Wave 3 now. Little disclaimer. I do not have Kickback. I do not have that air raid. To me, the only air raid that counts is the Combiner Wars air raid. But from what I have, seen, heard, thought about buying, they would be great. I gave the Shockwave a glowing review. The air raid, I'm sure, would probably get the same sort of treatment. As for Kickback, honestly, I've thought about getting them, but I'm holding out for a Legends version to go with my Bombshell and my Scrapnel / Shrapnel. But that's another story for another day. The focus this time is going to be on this glorious red Autobot known as the Daredevil himself, Sideswipe. Welcome back to the channel, folks. I am your host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot, and I appreciate you coming here. Please check me out everywhere and like and comment and subscribe, all that good stuff. And we're going to look at this guy. It is the Deluxe class Sideswipe from Fall of Cybertron. And this guy was released, and a lot of people were like, And that was kind of the reaction he got. Why? Because a few years earlier, such an excellent version of Sideswipe had come out. Now, I don't have that classic Sideswipe, but I do have this guy, his repaint, Red Alert. I did a review of this guy recently. Look, this is a fantastic mold. Go and, by all means, see what I thought of him. And when you compare them side to side, obviously this guy's kind of diminutive in stature. But his gun, look at the gun! It's fantastic! I thought about getting the version of Sideswipe that looks like Red Alert here. And if you can get your hands on it, hey, he's a great one to get. But I can tell you now, you're going to pay double or more for him as compared to this guy. So we'll take him out of it. And the question becomes, well, is this guy worth it? If he's cheaper, is he a good enough Sideswipe? Is he an okay Sideswipe? Well, here's how he compares with a modern day Deluxe, our good friend Alpha Bravo here. And you see, you know what? He fits in great with Alpha Bravo. He fits in great with modern day Deluxes. Let's measure him as we always do. But first, I need to talk about this huge gun. It pokes in on his arm. You can use a peg that's here and put that down in his hand, and he can hold it. But here's the thing, it's way too heavy for that joint. It is what it is. Still, it's glorious. I thought that this turned. It does turn. You can turn this cylinder, I guess, if you really wanted to. I'm cool with it in his arm. I love the weapon. Was it used in Fall of Cybertron? I don't know. I didn't pay attention to the guns. I just kept firing. But it looks fantastic in robot mode. Megatron got an arm cannon? No, Sideswipe got an arm cannon. So I love it. But we will lay that aside. Let's look at his paint apps. Okay, so he has white thighs like he should. There should be more black hair, but again, kind of like with Jazz, I can buy the black being the tires. I'm okay with that. So this red doesn't really bother me too much. His arms are wrong. There should be, you know, a red kind of door piece out on the side, and the arms themselves should pretty much be white. The fists, however, are correct. So it would have been nice if inside here had been painted white. You know, but what do you do? Limited paint apps. I would have preferred that over silver on the hood. That's not right. He's not supposed to have silver on the hood. And I do still like the head sculpt, even if those eyes are so dim. So dim. I don't know why they went with that. He has dead eyes, and it kind of creeps me out, but I do love the head sculpt. Besides that, you know, a little bit of Allspark blue would have went a long way there. Just saying. So paint apps for this guy, is it accurate to the game? Pretty much, kind of. Again, he's missing some energon detailing. Is it accurate to, you know, those of us who are traditionalists, is it accurate to our view of Sideswipe? Kind of. I mean, you can sort of see what they're going for. I'm going to give his paint apps about a 7.5. Because it's one of those situations where, yeah, I see what they were going for. In terms of his articulation, well, this is a reuse and a bit of remolding, especially the hood, of the Fall Cybertron Jazz. So the arms still go all the way around, and they, you know, twist the bicep, and you have the 90-degree bend at the elbow, and the wrists go in and out, and the legs can go way back and way forward, and they split, you know, quite nice. He can do the splits pretty good. No, not, don't get me wrong, he's not Prowl, but pretty good. Slightly over 90 degrees, and I guess a little bit of pivot at the foot. Now, I feel like he is more, still no waist, by the way, and the head is on a ball joint and moves all around. Now, honestly, I find that this guy generally stands better than Jazz. I find the ratchets are tighter than Jazz. For a second use of the mold, I feel like this guy has better tolerances. So I'm going to give his posability, playability, because the shoulders going out are still limited to about here. You know, I mean, there's not a lot of great, you know, outward shoulder movement. Even if you kind of move these shoulder pieces a bit, you know, it's okay, but it's nothing to write home about. I'm going to give his posability, playability, again, about a 7.5. So this guy's scoring 7.5 overall. You know, his counterpart, that mold that was reused for Red Alert, I mean, that thing is like a 9. That thing is just fantastic. So 7.5. Let's go into his transformation. Now, if you watched my video of Jazz, I pointed out a couple things, and maybe I can point them out easier here with this guy, actually. First thing, this guy doesn't have the full back piece that goes down and pegs in, you know, to the hole on his behind here, but it does show nicely. Right here, if you look in right there, you can see that little notch that I talked about with Jazz fitting over a little black piece, and it's the same on both sides. You need to make sure that that's locked in there, or the front of him will fall all over the place. It was the same thing with Jazz. And it's easy to overlook and wonder, why isn't this guy pegging together well? So, how do we transform him? Oh, one other thing, and I didn't realize this with Jazz. I thought that these door pieces here, right here that I just opened up, I thought that they were frictioned when I pushed them forward. I thought they were frictioned on Jazz. They're not. There's actually, back right here, there's a little tab and a little space that locks into each other. You might be able to see it if I open it up now. Now watch me close it. And you can see where it fits in. So let's go into transformation for this guy. Exact same as Jazz, so I'm not going to waste a lot of time on it. If you want it in detail, hey, watch Jazz's review. So the feet go up, the legs peg together. There's a hole and a peg, and they stick together well on him, actually. The back piece, that comes out and straightens up, And that has the whole front piece free flowing. The arms, you straighten them out to the side, you untab the door pieces, and you bring them off to the side. You turn the arm around, and there's a little tab right there that goes into a little slot, and same on the other side, a little tab goes to a little slot on the door to hold all of that together. The shoulders, they angle in, and there's a little hole here and a little horizontal tab there, and they go over each other. Same on the other side. Then you need to basically start to fold him up. You fold the legs back, you fold the front out, you bring this whole piece down, and honestly, everything kind of guides where it should, to be perfectly honest with you. Once that's all down, you bring the arm back, and there's a hole inside the arm, and there's a little tab on the side of the vehicle. They should at least go into each other. Let's see if I can get both of these to work here for me. Like that, and they go in, and that is Jazz in vehicle mode. Okay, so we know what he's supposed to be. By the way, he rolls pretty good, better than Jazz, actually. We that are, G1 purists know that this guy is not this type of a car. He's very iconic. We all know that. But we never did see what his Cybertronian mode was like on the show. Maybe it did kind of look like this. So I can actually sort of buy this vehicle. I don't think it looks too bad because of the windows on the side. That helps it. What kills it is there's no windshield. Now, if he's a Cybertronian mode, you don't really need it because you don't have a driver. But still, if this section here was painted black, and I might paint it myself yet, I think it would help with the aesthetic of this car so much more. And I don't understand why they went with white racing stripes that got a little bit of silver on either side and then come down into silver here. If you were going to use white, you should have used white the whole way through. If you were going to use silver, you should have used silver the whole way through. Just my opinion. Just my opinion. Now, weapon storage. Remember when I talked about, well, if you saw the Shockwave review, do you remember when I talked about how Shockwave was indicative of seeing hollow plastic on Transformers? Well, this guy is another guy that's in a historic role for terrible weapon storage. You can take this thing and you can plug it in right on the top, just like we've been doing with the Combiner War stuff, and it looks just awful. Or, of course, you can always turn it around, and it's a rear-facing thruster, right? The instructions, however, had you peg it in on the side here. Now, you can only peg it in one way. If you peg it in on this side over here, okay, that's a big gun on the side, and you put them, maybe you can peg it in both ways. You put them down and you got a huge gun on the side. You can also peg it in on this side and have that big piece up top and have a huge gun on that side. It's terrible weapon storage, but for this guy, for the record, I tend to store it here like this. For this guy, where were you going to store that huge gun? Yeah, I'm just saying, where was that enormous cannon going to go? So, transformation is easy peasy for this guy. I'm going to say it's 9. You can change him back and forth, no problem, really quick. So we have a 7.5, a 7.5, a 9. Overall, this guy is, at best, he's an 8. At best, he's an 8. The version that uses this mold is a 9, 9.5. So, obviously, the other version is the best one. But if you're into the look of Fall of Cybertron, if you're into the game, or you're interested in it, or you know what? You want a jazz or not a jazz, a Sideswipe that's just fun and easy to go back and forth. This guy will fit the bill. He is still a pretty great Sideswipe. He might not be the ideal Sideswipe, but he's still a pretty great Sideswipe. And you know what? That works for me. Anyway, that's it for this one. I appreciate you stopping by. We are now into wave 3. This has been interesting looking back at these older figures from a few years ago. I don't know about you, but I'm kind of getting re-hyped for Fall Cybertron. And maybe that's just me. Anyway, you cut it. I appreciate you stopping by. I appreciate you having a look. Let me know what you think of this guy. And I guess the only thing left to say is thanks for watching. And I certainly look forward to the next time that you and I get together and have a visit right here inside the videos.